Hi class, my name is Amber Garza, Miss Garza. Today's lesson we're going to be going over graphs. So basically graph conclusions, well first the construction of a graph, then graph conclusions and the validity of those graphs. We're going to go over a few definitions first that you really need to know. The first one we're going to go over is construction, and that is what kind of grid you're going to make and how are you going to make it. Today we're going to be going over a circle graph, which is this right here, and then this little graph right here, it's a bar graph. So we're going to be learning about these two graphs today. So first definition is going to be construction. So construction means is the way you set up the graph, like what I just went over, the bar graph, the circle graph, and how you're going to set it up, like the force or like percentages. Next definition is the validity. So are the results correct? Did you do everything right? Check your work, make sure everything lines up and makes sense. And the conclusion, what you get out of the results of the graph. So that's basically what we're going to be learning today. First, the steps. We're going to determine what kind of graph we need. So second step is going to be to set up the graph. Third step, check to see if it's accurate. And then fourth step, come up with the conclusion. What did you get out of the results of the graph? So first example is going to be right here. And we're going to be discussing how many hours elementary students study per day. And we're going to kind of make it easy. We're going to do 100 students to kind of make it easier to even out the percentages. So think of $1. It's 100 cents. A quarter is 25 cents. You need 4 quarters to equal $1. So that's what this looks like right here. This is how you're going to set up the circle graph. You see how it's in quarters? There's 25, 25, 25, 25. That's 100. Or you can split it in half, be 50 and 50. So that's how we're going to be working on our lesson today. So for the first, sorry, I'm a little crowded here. For the first step, or not first step, but first example, we're going to go with 25 students. 25 students study for 1 hour. 50 students study for 2 hours. And 25 study for 3 hours. So let's see. Let's start with the biggest one. 50 students. So that's going to be half of the graph right there. 50. And they study for 2 hours. So we'll mark the 50%, 2 hours. Now we just have half the graph left over. So that'll be 25 and 25 to equal 100. We got 25 students study for 1 hour. So put it right here. Like this. And then the last 25 students, they study for 3 hours. Put it right here. And that's your circle graph. And the conclusion, you just went over it. 25 students study for 1 hour. 50 students study for 2 hours. And 25 study for 3 hours. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit. We'll go over middle school students. So let's see. So here's the circle graph right here. Let's see. Get back there. All right. And here is going to be our number of students per hour that work per hour. We got 50 students study for 1 hour. So we'll put 50% of the circle graph right here. 25 students work for 2 hours. There's a quarter of the graph right here. And then the last 25% work for 3 hours. we're going to do something different with this graph. Now we're going to learn to do the bar graph. So the bar graph, move it even closer so we can see. So the way we set it up, we're going to put the hours on the bottom right here. Do 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. And then the number of students on this side. 100 students is a lot, so we can divide it up by 4. So we got 25 down here, 50, 75, 100. Kind of like what we did with the circle graph right here. So now, so we said 50 students work or study per 1 hour. So we'll start at the 1 hour mark, go up to the 50, and create your little bar right there. Next, 25 students for 2 hours. Go 2 hours, go over to 25 right here. And then the same for 3 hours. 25 students for 3 hours as well. So it's going to be the same as a 2 hour one right there. All right. Final example. 40 students are studying for 1 hour. 50 students study for 2 hours. And 5 study for 3 hours. Oh, and then another 5 students study for 4 hours. So now we're doing 4 hours. So we're going to have 4 segments of the graph. So we'll make it easy. Start with the biggest chunk of the graph. We'll do the 50 students per 2 hours right here. So we're going to cut the graph in half, the 50 for 2 hours. And then next highest is going to be the 40. So we'll kind of estimate on the graph, make it the best you can. And here's this chunk right here is going to be the 40. And now we have this small piece right here where 5 students work for 3 hours. So we'll just cut that small piece in half. And that's 5 students for 3 hours. And then 5 students for 4 hours. And again, we're going to convert that into a bar graph. And this time, instead of the 3 bars, we'll make 4 bars. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4. And we can do the same as we did for this one over here. Split the 100 students into fourths. 25, 50, 75, 100. So for the first hour, 40 students study. Per 1 hour, I'm sorry. So we'll kind of estimate 40 to be right here in the 1 hour mark. Now for 2 hours, 50 students will study for 2 hours. So we'll come over to the 2 hour bar right here, come all the way up, and come over here to 50 and create your bar. Now for 3 hours, 5 right here, which is kind of estimated, and then another 5 for students that study for 4 hours. So class, today we went over circle graphs, bar graphs. We went over the construction of the graph. So it's going to be a circle graph, a bar graph. There's a lot of other types of graphs that we're going to go over throughout the school year. But first it's going to be these two that they're kind of basic. So we went over the conclusion, which is how many students per study for 1 to 4 hours. And that'll be it. So next time, thank you.